StockPulse on location, back at the second annual StockPulse Silver Symposium here in Airway Heights, and I've got Nick Hodge here from Digest Publishing. Certainly appreciate you making the trip, Nick. Not too far, of course, for you, but another year, another silver show. Silver's kind of in the tank a little bit, but I think that's a good time to get our ducks in a row maybe and make a move here. So how does Nick Hodge see things?
How do I see things? As I told you, my talk is about, to the moon. Are we really going to the moon? Let's start with $30. And, I think it's a sobering reality that silver is at $18. You've got 40-year high inflation. You've got money printing that's gone on for the past decade or so. You would think that silver would be much higher, and yet it's not. So you got to take it as it comes is sort of one of the main points of my talk. I know that we had this big, Reddit thing come on the scene in 2021, and honestly, they came on right around the time that, silver was at its peak for the past year or year and a half. So I talk a little bit about being a contrarian's contrarian, and even when there's people in the space barking at you, telling you that it's going to the moon or going to 50, that you really got to do your diligence and pick your horses, as it were. Find the companies that are executing, that are generating results that can then in turn generate response in the market. It's not good enough just to say, I'm a silver company and my stock will go up when silver goes up. Well, what if silver stays at 18 or 20 for a while, which could be the case given the markets that we're in. If you think back to 2008, for example, we had inflation ticking up then. You had the Fed cutting rates all the way to zero, but the precious metals didn't take off really until 2010, 2011, 2012. So while I do think we're in store for a precious metals bull market, it could be another 6 to 12 months before that happens. Now, the flip side of that is, if you want to buy low and sell high, then you got to buy low now. And I've been joking with my partner, I've been buying low and it keeps going lower. So eventually you run into that insolvency problem. But I guess that's how I see things right now. I mean, there's quality opportunities out there. And one of the reasons I'm at the conference, I've already hit up a couple booths. And that's how you learn the things about, who's drilling, who's executing, and what's what, separating the wheat from the chaff, as it were.
Yeah, let's paint a picture here for investors. Certainly a guy like you doesn't get bothered by these share prices. Good opportunity, like you said, maybe even average down opportunity. But what kind of opportunities do you see out here, and what's really in your wheelhouse?
Oh gosh, you want individual company names, or
Yeah, so it's an open mic. You talk how you want.
So I know we're at the Silver Symposium. I think uranium's got a real shot right now. You've had prices ticking back up to $50 a pound here recently, and you've got Europe facing a really desperate winter, right? If you look at the electricity prices, which I know have been all over social media here for the past couple of days, you've had Germany pivoting back toward nuclear, saying we're going to keep our 3 plants online. You had Japan last week say, not only are we going to turn on all of our 17 nukes by 2023, we're going to start even building new ones. And so I think that really puts a bookend on the Fukushima era, right? I mean, Japan is the country that kicked off the bear market. It's been 11 years now. That was 2011. And so, you think back to that, and that chapter is now closed on uranium. And, it's sort of the same way for silver. I mean, if you were buying, uranium 3 years ago, you've done well. If you're buying silver now, I think you're going to do well as well. And so that's sort of how I see it. I have quality speculation. Some of the companies that are here, I'll talk about in my talk what I look for there as far as share structure and management team and the way they finance their deals. But there's quality companies out there that don't have blown out share structures, that are being good stewards of their capital while there's a bit of a market malaise, and don't need to raise cash. I would say is something to look for as well, right? Like one company I was just talking to has $7.5 million in the bank. Like they don't need to go to market, and so I look for those sort of opportunities.
Yeah. So I guess let's jump ahead here. I know the start with 30. That's a good place to start. Paint us a picture in 23 here. Give us some hope, Nick.
I'll give you some hope. Well, I don't want to be a cheerleader for the sector. I think you can get yourself into trouble doing that. Gold has held, let me start with gold, I guess. So gold has held up relatively well. I mean, it started the year 2022 just around 1,800. It's a bit below that now. Silver's had a bit rougher go of it. I don't want to wait for a Fed pivot. I hear a lot of talk about, when the Fed pivots, it's time. When the Fed pivots, it's time. Well, I don't know if the Fed is going to pivot or when, And what does a pivot look like? Are they going to start cutting rates, or is it just mean a pause and an increase of rates? That's all above my pay grade. So I sort of want to take it as it comes. But I see gold going back to 1,800 and above in the next 12 months. And I think silver, as it does, follows on its tail. So, for 2023, I mean, could you get to $30 silver? Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. That's why it's in the name of my talk. I think a lot of companies do well in that environment as well. And so I don't think you need silver going to the moon to $50 or $200 for the quality companies to take off. So let's call it, I don't know, $1,900 to $2,000 gold in the next year, and back to $20 to $30 silver. I know that's not, pie in the sky, rah rah shish kumbah, but that's really how I see it.
How do people keep track of you, Nick?
We're at digestpublishing.com. That's where all the newsletters are that we publish for retail investors and even accredited investors. And then we have a lot of sponsors at resourcestockdigest.com. Those are all junior mining companies that you can go take a look at.
Okay. That's Nick Hodge, Silver Symposium. Certainly appreciate you making the time, Nick.
Rob, I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.